masks in school. And cases and hospitalizations increase in the 4 states. We'll hear from local and regional health officials on the surge. Also, the latest on the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The CDC says vaccinated teachers and students don't have to wear masks inside school buildings. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Zach Dodge. The change comes amid a national vaccination campaign where children as young as 12 are eligible to get vaccinated. The agency is not advising schools to require shots for teachers or vaccine-eligible kids. The change also comes as the Delta variant is hitting the Midwest hard, and some are wondering, will people who are vaccinated need to get booster shots? CBS's Skylar Henry has the latest on the possibility of a 3rd dose.
Pfizer's 2-dose vaccine has protected millions of Americans from COVID-19. Now the company says a 3rd dose could dramatically boost immunity. That announcement came after a study in Israel found the vaccine becomes less effective over time.
What they are seeing is a small number of people who are elderly who got the vaccine early on in January are having some mild symptoms, period. So it's not clear we need a booster, but it is clear that a booster will dramatically increase immunity.
The Food and Drug Administration, together with the CDC, responded to Pfizer's announcement within hours, saying fully vaccinated Americans do not need a booster at this time. Dr. David Agus says it's the unvaccinated population that remains most at risk.
99.7% of hospitalizations of COVID-19 patients in the United States now are unvaccinated.
Pfizer says it'll ask the FDA to grant emergency use authorization for a 3rd dose later this summer, and that it could make the vaccine 5 to 10 times more effective. But health agencies say a booster will be approved only if and when science shows it's needed. The powerful Delta variant is now the dominant strain in the U.S., driving up to 80% of new infections in part of the Midwest that remain undervaccinated.
The time for watching to see what's going to happen it's over. If you're really serious about protecting yourself and protecting your family, it's time to get vaccinated now.
The latest research shows that the full dosage of current vaccines offers strong protection even against that Delta variant. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Silver Spring, Maryland.
On Thursday, the CDC and FDA released a joint statement saying Americans who have been fully vaccinated do not need a booster shot at this time. Shifting now to the 4 states, Integris Health in Northeast Oklahoma says they have as many COVID patients in the hospital as they did during the height of the pandemic. In the last week, the state has seen a 14% increase in positive cases and a 26% increase in hospitalizations. Integris says current data shows 28% of those who test positive end up being hospitalized. A state report earlier this week showed the Delta variant has been detected in Northeast Oklahoma. Missouri Governor Parson works to tamp down rising concerns as Missouri becomes the nation's leader in COVID-19 caseload. Data from Johns Hopkins University shows that Missouri's caseload is 15.5 new cases per 100,000 people daily. Those numbers are fueled in part by the fast-spreading Delta variant. Health officials in Springfield say the spike in cases started around graduation season and Memorial Day weekend as more people started to gather. And they're worried that what's happening in our region could happen in other parts of the country. Missouri asked for help last week from the newly formed federal surge response teams. The first member of Missouri's surge response team arrived Wednesday. One federal health official noted the effort could also include door-to-door vaccine promotion, but Governor Parson pushed back in a tweet. The governor said, quote, "I have directed our health department to let the federal government know that sending government employees or agents to door-to-door to compel vaccination would not be an effective or welcome strategy in Missouri." The federal government responded saying it wouldn't be government employees but trusted messengers like doctors and faith leaders going door to door. Health officials fight a surge in COVID cases in Crawford and Cherokee County in Kansas as the Delta variant spreads among unvaccinated people. In Crawford County, from Sunday through Thursday, there had been 61 new cases, and there have been 5 deaths in the last 10 days. At Pittsburgh's Ascension Via Christi Hospital, 8 people were hospitalized with COVID on Thursday. Hospital officials warn that unless people get vaccinated, numbers could get as bad as last fall. Officials in Cherokee County say in the last 2 weeks, there's been a 74% increase in positive cases compared to the prior 2 weeks. Now let's head over to Michael Hayslip with our first look at the weather.
Probably going to be the hottest day of July so far, Zach, by the time we get to the afternoon. Now, granted, we're only 9 days in. I realize it's going to change here, but yeah, it's, you got to probably go back to about late June last time we had temperatures that were quite like this. Take a look at what we've got right here. 88 in Joplin, already a trio of 90s in Parsons, Chanute, Neodesha, Carthage at 87, and Miami at 87. Also, go ahead and factor in the humidity and plan on adding about 6 to 7 degrees as far as what it feels like. So we're pressing up into the mid to high 90s with heat index readings. Jet stream starting to drop a little bit, comparatively speaking, to where it's been past couple of days. And here in just a little bit, we'll come back. We'll check on Elsa. She continues to remain a tropical storm off the East Coast. So if we get up to, say, 90, it would, as a matter of fact, be the warmest day of July so far. First time we've had 90 in quite some time, an official 90 reading at an airport, I should say. And I don't think we'll get to 94. If we get to 94, we'd have to go back all the way to June 25th, the last time we had anything that hot. But like I said, we're not going to quite get there. Still going to feel about like 100 this afternoon, though. As far as future track goes, thunderstorm activity, it's going to work in tomorrow, begin in the afternoon. And once it starts, it's going to take us all the way through into Sunday morning. Sunday's even going to present scattered showers as well, with cooler temps as far as what we'll begin next week with an 81 and 82 on Sunday and Monday.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael. We'll talk to you again here in just a little bit. All right. The city of Joplin says their phone system is now operational after being down because of a network security incident. Yesterday, the city called in a cybersecurity firm to help with the incident that left city officials without internet access. That means city services that are carried out online, like bill payments, are unavailable. 911 and the airport are not affected. In a news release sent to KOAM News on Thursday, Joplin spokesperson Lynn Onstad said, "We are working diligently to investigate this activity and bring our systems online as quickly as we can. We asked the city whether personal information submitted during online payments was involved. The city says it's under investigation." That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, President Biden defends his timeline for the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. And later, a staple in many saucy dishes without the preservatives or ingredients you can't pronounce in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Topping Nation Watch, after 20 years, U.S. troops will be out of Afghanistan by the end of next month. President Biden yesterday laid out the final strategy for withdrawing the remaining U.S. forces. Charlie DeGatta is in Kabul, where he spoke with the top U.S. diplomat in Afghanistan about the possible dangers to the U.S. Embassy after the withdrawal.
Across the country, districts are falling to the Taliban like dominoes as U.S. forces head for the exit and militants inch ever closer to the capital. The U.S. Embassy has been taking a hard look at its own security situation. The top U.S. diplomat in Afghanistan is Ross Wilson.
We have added some additional quick reaction capabilities in the event that something happens.
I mean, worst case scenario, evacuation plans in place?
At this point, I don't think it's imminent. Planning for evacuations in any post like this is serious business.
It's only a few short miles from the U.S. Embassy to the airport, but on the streets of Kabul, if it came to an emergency evacuation extracting thousands of staff, the roads are a no-go. The only way is up.
Even now, American diplomats shuttle back and forth by helicopter. But what if the compound gets stormed?
There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of an embassy of the United States from Afghanistan.
The Saigon moment the president was referring to, the emergency airlift of Americans from the then capital of Vietnam in 1975. More recently, the storming of the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, that left 4 Americans dead, including U.S. Ambassador Chris Stevens. No one here believes that moment is imminent, but even tightening the noose around the capital is a concern.
They're concerned about Taliban moves to gain control over some of the highways that are important points of supply for our embassy.
The Taliban say they have no intention of taking Kabul by force or storming the U.S. embassy, but they consider all foreign forces left behind as invaders and therefore legitimate targets. Charlie D'Agata, CBS News, Kabul.
Still to come on KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
If you get frustrated when you can't pronounce half the ingredients in what you buy, today we have a farm-to-table answer for that.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Go back to about June 24th and the 25th. That was the last time we had consecutive days with temperatures up into the 90s. Don't think we'll be able to roll that tomorrow, and you just missed it yesterday. We were 88 at Joplin Regional Airport, but we are off to a hot one over 7th and Rangeline because it's not so much just the temperature that sits at 88, but look at that. You factor in that humidity, and we're feeling like 96 right now, and we've got about 3 to 4 more hours of warming up before we get to our actual peak heating time for what would be a July the 9th. Speaking of July the 9th, let's go to our weather almanac, look at our records and average temperature. The average is really what I want to point out because we should be hovering around 90 degrees each and every day. Just been a little bit since late June since we've actually done so. We're already pushing there in Chanute, Neodesha, and Parsons that sit at 90. Monette and Cassville still in the mid 80s there. 85 and 86 respectively. Let's go Pittsburgh at 86 as well. We got a clean SKYWATCH storm tracker. Did have just a little rain up to our northwest earlier, but that thing gets kind of petered out there before it actually got to us. Jet stream is falling though, no longer up by the Canadian border. Still kind of squeezing those warm temperatures together. Now you see that circular flow in the southwest there on the left-hand part of the screen. Well, that's a good old-fashioned cutoff low that they got right there. Hasn't presented them with any thunderstorm activity as of yet. However, let's go to the other coast and take a look at, yes, still a tropical storm. Just pretty amazing in nature that after Elsa made landfall, she has remained a tropical storm. Right now, it's even, you can tell where it crossed the water right there even back on land, still a tropical storm. Hovering over Manhattan with tons of rain coming down, and then we can finally look forward to this thing becoming a little bit of a low pressure system by the time it works itself up toward Maine right there. But you see Portland and Bangor on the map, so it just about push off toward Nova Scotia before it's done being a tropical storm. You could say it pretty traversed every place from Florida all the way up to the northeastern portion of the United States. Speaking of the continental 48, down in Texas, they still got massive flooding problems with that system that will not become tropical. It will not end up with a name. But I tell you what, you see how that moisture and that precipitation moved out of the Gulf and now has made its way through North Texas. It was South Texas that was getting dominated. Well, what that means for us is the Gulf moisture is here to stay, and as that continues to build here for the next couple of days, it could present us with additional flood warnings like the one that still exists on the Osage River. Still 3 feet above flood stage at the gauge at Taborville, and that doesn't expire until Saturday at 4 a.m. Now, as far as the severe thunderstorm risk map goes for today, that's going to stay up to our north through portions of central Iowa down through northeastern Missouri. But when we get to tomorrow, that's when things will change because that humidity combined with the afternoon instability that we'll have on Saturday means those clouds are going to want to let loose a little bit. And so by the time we get into Saturday afternoon, there we see it begin to formulate as it moves in from the northwest. And we're talking 1 to 3 inches of rain when this band finishes. And not only that, so we've got localized flooding problems, but we're not done with it Because even though it looks like we get a little bit of a Sunday break, Sunday comes right back and gives us scattered showers. Now, one major difference about Sunday and Monday compared to Friday and Saturday is going to be the temperature, Zach. We'll be able to keep it very comfortable in the low 80s. So, we won't have to worry about the heat. We will have to worry about, number one, the flooding concerns.
Yeah.
Number two, by the time we get to the middle of next week, the mosquitoes.
Yeah. Not looking forward to mosquitoes.
Yeah.
No, thank you. But thank you, Michael. We take this time now to honor today's four-state hero, Ronald Hopkins, a member of the United States Air Force from 1968 to 1970. He served during the Vietnam War. His hometown, Miami, Oklahoma. We're proud to salute Ronald Hopkins, a four-state hero. Today, Howard has a recipe for a staple in many meals that you can make in no time at all with ingredients you know in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
You know, these days, it seems that more and more of us want nutrition labels to be clean and list simple ingredients, rather than ones that are hard to pronounce. This isn't always possible, but we came up with an easy homemade tomato sauce that features fresh tomatoes, as well as a few other pantry favorites. We start by cutting up about 4 pounds of super ripe tomatoes. This time of year, you shouldn't have any problem finding ones that are really fresh like this. Next, we fill our blender about 3/4 of the way full and give it a whirl until the tomatoes are pureed. Then we pour this into a soup pot and we repeat this until all the tomatoes are used up. Now, we add some off-the-shelf spices and let it simmer uncovered for about an hour. We'll stir in some fresh basil and voila! This sauce is ready to serve over everything from pasta to veggies. This is something that you can whip up in no time. There's no peeling or seeding, simply blend, simmer, and enjoy. And when it comes to taste, all I can say is, Mamma mia, it's good. To get the recipe for what we call blender tomato sauce, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a fresh and saucy way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Now here's a look at four-state market prices.
Hot today and pretty warm tomorrow as well. Don't let that get in the way of anything you got planned tomorrow morning, because the thunderstorms really don't want to appear until the afternoon. But once they do, it's going to bring quite a bit of rain, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches, with a cold front on the backside that'll cool us down to the low 80s for Sunday and Monday.
All right, thank you very much, Michael. Coming up tonight at 5, with many questions still remaining about the origins of COVID-19, museums in Europe are scouring their back collections in search of COVID clues to try to prevent another pandemic. The data will be used around the world for research. Plus, Integris Health has as many hospitalized COVID patients as during the height of the pandemic. We hear from officials on what they're doing to fight back the surge. And we'll have the latest on severe weather chances moving into the 4 states this weekend. Join us for those stories and more on KOAM News at 5. Thanks for joining us for the KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.